Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the distinguished members of the Council for joining us for this hearing. We gather today to examine the activities of the Financial Stability Oversight Council, or FSOC, which, since the passage of the Dodd-Frank Act, has fulfilled its mandate to monitor and respond to the types of systemic risks that nearly brought our economy to its knees in 2008. This important work cuts across every corner of our banking, capital markets, housing, and insurance sectors, which is why Congress specifically designed the Council to draw upon all of the expertise of the witnesses here before us today. Unfortunately, many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle seem to have caught a convenient case of amnesia about this important mandate. Indeed, it was only 7 short years ago that our economy lost nearly $16 trillion in household wealth, $13 trillion in economic growth, and 9 million jobs. In large part, this was because our regulators were too often caught in silos, not communicating with one another and not considering gaps between their agencies or interconnectedness within the financial sector. Even worse, we saw too many cases where regulators were captured by the very entities they were meant to police. Many of these lessons appear to be forgotten, as we have seen with recent markups, as well as attempts to laden government funding bills with poison pill riders. Some opponents of Dodd-Frank are far too focused on dismantling Wall Street reform by attacking core elements like the FSOC and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. These attempts to roll back Dodd-Frank started the minute this reform was signed into law. And make no mistake, these attempts continue today, even as our economy has experienced a remarkable rebound with 69 straight months of positive job numbers, GDP growth, and a housing market where sustainable access to credit continues to expand, all of which are signs pointing to the sort of stability and growth that the law was designed to promote. FSOC has contributed to this growth and stability by convening the 10 component regulatory agencies for periodic information sharing about emerging risks and reporting on those risks to the public. Further, the Council has now designated 4 institutions for enhanced supervision by the Federal Reserve. This designation will ensure that companies like AIG never again are able to engage in risky, unregulated activity that could threaten the entire global economy. And far from the talking points of some members on the opposite side of the aisle, this enhanced oversight is now causing some large non-bank financial companies to consider whether simplifying their structures and breaking themselves up might provide better value to their shareholders. I'm also encouraged that the money market fund industry is now less susceptible to bank-like runs as a result of the pressure the FSOC brought to overcome gridlock at the Securities and Exchange Commission. Finally, I appreciate that the Council has made an effort to conduct this work in a manner that is responsive to feedback from Congress and outside stakeholders. For example, with this announcement in February, the FSOC took the step of voluntarily agreeing to certain due process and transparency measures that will further serve to improve their operations. This type of dialogue and openness to feedback should be applauded. As we hear from the voting members of the Council today, I will be interested to learn more about their interagency collaboration and their work to address emerging threats. Again, this work is central to preventing the types of contagion and risks that nearly crashed Main Street just 7 years ago. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back the balance of my time.